Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you today?
Doing just great.
All right, so I was asking you earlier about AWP. What was that like?
AWP was like nothing I've ever experienced before. 12,000 writers together in a sprawling conference center, so many ideas floating around, so many people celebrating each other and selling their wares. I found it really fascinating. I met folks in the elevator. I saw writers that I felt really close to but had never met in real life. So it was something else. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
This was your first AWP?
Yeah, yeah. This was the first time I'd ever attended.
Okay, Paul, I don't know if you know what AWP is, but it's the Association of Writers and Writing Programs. And so all of the academic writers that are on social media and some of them that get famous, like the guy that wrote Lincoln and the Bardo, they go to it. Dean Koontz doesn't go to it. Stephen King doesn't go to it. But lots of people that Ellen and I nerd out to go to it, and that's always fun to meet them. Who did you meet that was particularly exciting, Ellen?
I got. I'll tell you who I really enjoyed seeing, a writer named David Ebenbach, who is a great literary citizen. He On Fridays he asked people to post their success stories on his web page or on his social media channels. Um, he um, he celebrates people's birthdays by asking folks to put together their thoughts on their year and what they hope for the year to come. And so that was fantastic to run into him. Um, Other than that, I mean, I didn't end up kind of going out to see. I went to panels that I thought were directly related to, the book that I've got coming out March 15th. So
Did you go to the panel with Janet Fitch on it?
no, I don't believe I did.
I I've seen her panel twice, and and it's the same. Sometimes they do the same panels over and over, but Janet will just like write in her journal as the other people are speaking, and it's her turn to speak. Whatever she's written in her journal is what she then talks about. So she does
Ah,
it at the last minute. And I met Nick Flynn one time, and I I immediately just started talking about his wife, who's Lily Taylor. She started in 6 Feet Under and The Haunting, and then one of the Conjuring movies.
yeah, I know her work. She's really fantastic.
She is. She's married to Nick Flynn, and he's good too. Because
Yeah,
they used to use that poem at Queen's University, the one about the mice in the bag.
yeah,
So that was kind of cool. He wore a really cool trench coat when I saw the one in DC. He was
yeah.
wearing a black trench.
I'll tell you what, there was a lot of fashion going around. I saw a guy in a purple suit, and at one point there was a person in a gorilla suit carrying I think it was the Swamp Meat Journal around or something. So it was quite a show.
Oh, Swamp Pink.
I said swamp meat, but I'm not really sure. But it had the word swamp in there. So
Okay, there might be a couple of them. I know that Crazy Horse is now called Swamp Pink.
now it may have been that.
Who knows? Um, well, that's interesting. So your book, this is your second book.
Yeah, the first book was Lost Girls short stories, and this is Beware the Tall Grass, and it is a novel.
All right. I've only read one other story of yours, and it was one that came to Raleigh Review, and I loved it, and I said yes to it, and I sent it on, but they never like what I send on when I say yes to something. But I say yes maybe um, 3 times most per season.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed yours. Do you remember which one it was that you sent to Raleigh Review?
I don't because I do a lot of submitting, so I'm not really sure which one that might have been.
I think there was a murder in it. It was like 15 pages long.
Oh dear. Not surprising. You've gotta get people interested right away. So,
That's good. Where do your stories come from?
you know, they're largely fictional, but they can be inspired by things I hear. So the novel Beware the Tall Grass was loosely inspired by a story I heard on National Public Radio where a researcher was looking into young children's past life memories. And what the researchers would try to do is when the children would tell stories about where certain things happened or who was next to them when they died or when this traumatic thing happened, the researchers would go and try to fact check all that. And what they were finding is that they could legitimately check these facts and they were true. And these were small children who shouldn't have known the things that they were talking about. And so I thought, well, there's a story there. So it began as the story of a family whose young child is having memories of being in Vietnam. And it causes a rift within the family. And then a workshop leader said this should be a novel. And so I knew I had to add another element. So I've got the family story on one side and a Vietnam War soldier's story on the other. They come together at the end.
Who was the workshop leader that said it should be a novel?
That was Aaron Flanagan, who taught at the Antioch Writers Workshops in Dayton, Ohio, and who has since started publishing mysteries of her own and done quite well with those mysteries.
How many words is Beware the Tall Grass?
Oh my gosh, I really couldn't tell you that. I'm not very numbers oriented. I think, though, for a novel, it's considered brief. It's listed up on Bookshop, and underneath it, they put a list of novels for short attention spans.
Uh-huh.
So I'm guessing they thought it was a little short. Um, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure how many words that is.
Okay, well, I definitely felt the shortness of it, but I do not mind that at all. I run a book club. I run it with this other girl, but I kind of have taken charge over certain things,
Hmm.
and I do not allow anything more than 300 pages, because they'll try to slip it in, and I just don't have time, and it's going to be something stupid about Cinderella, and I can't handle it. It's got to be under 300 pages. I'll read anything that if it's a novella, and I'll read almost anything that's under 300 pages.
Yeah.
And this book, I would say that I would describe it as spare. They like to use that word in workshop. It's spare, but I got a real sense of everything that I needed. There was nothing that was left out. I like minimalism. I thought you did minimalism well,
Thank you.
and I thought, but at the beginning, it was almost maximalist the way you were describing the birth scene.
Right, right. It was really important for me to set a tone there and to really put people in the room. And so, that was full of a lot of detail and a lot of sensation and a lot of things for the readers to connect to. But yeah, when it gets down to the actual telling of the story, I don't like to wax poetic and I don't like to go on and on with descriptions. I really like to put people in the heart of wherever the action is happening.
How do you draft your first draft? Is it all typing, or is it writing by hand and then typing it up? What's your
It
process?
it's all typing, and I'll tell you that for this book, I typed Eve, the mother's section, and then I typed Thomas's section, and I alternated back and forth. I didn't do one person's voice all the way through and then do the other person's voice all the way through. I alternated the point of view characters, and I did that in part because I wanted to create echoes between the sections, and I knew that if I went back and forth, those would be in my head and they would kind of come forward naturally.
Oh, that's smart. That's wise. That's letting your subconscious do the work for you.
Yeah,
Work
absolutely.
smarter, not harder. How long did it take you to write this?
This was 8 years in the making. So, um, I wrote it. I worked with a AWP writer to writer mentor. I um, I got an agent. The agent didn't end up selling it, and in fact wasn't quite doing all the things he had promised to do. So I parted ways with him. I took it back to my writing groups, worked on it some more. Finally, I hired a developmental editor because I knew the book was good, but I knew it wasn't quite there in a couple different ways. And so I had them read it, and they were the ones who said, "Oh, turn up the drama on this, fill in a little bit more here." It wasn't anything major, but I think the suggestions were things that sort of made the book complete. And that's when I sent it out, and it ended up winning the Jordan Prize.
Good job. And I think that I can probably tell the places where they told you to cut up the drama because there was always a little bit of drama right before the white space and you went to the next scene.
Huh, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I gotta the next one. Like I um I had a joke with an old friend that we would say that books were unput downable. It was unput downable, and there are some books that are unput downable, but I would not use that word because I don't want it to be considered a joke when I'm talking about this. But I was constantly reading. I read at work. I read on my breaks. I read before bed, and I loved that I could do a little section without. I knew that I was going to be able to drop right off and go back to what I was doing or end a break or go to sleep. I read it all the way through once I started.
Oh, wow, fantastic. I love to hear that.
Now, when at the end, when the parent is verifying the names online for the Vietnam soldiers,
Yeah.
is that a real website?
Um, no, no, that was a creation. That was actually something that I had made up. Although,
Okay.
something like that probably exists.
Okay. Um, I had my grandfather told me this one story about a buddy in Vietnam, and he rarely talked about Vietnam, but he talked about it towards the end of his life. And I wrote it down in a notebook. And I kept all of these writing practice notebooks and morning pages notebooks. It was in one of those. And I went through some kind of mood and I destroyed them all a couple of years ago. And now there's just the one thing from them that I wish I still had, and it was that name. I don't know who it is.
Yeah,
But maybe I'm not supposed to remember.
right, right. I know what you're saying. It's like it's you never know what's fate and what's not.
Right. So that was the case. What is a writing tip that you would give somebody that wanted to write a novel?
I would say if an idea has energy for you, it's liable to have energy for readers. So if something really hooks you, follow it and follow it relentlessly. And then once you start writing, the way I do it is that I begin to populate the world with detail. So each character has specific things they notice, their world has specific sort of items in it, and that sort of thing, and then use those details to continue to build the character and even to look for hints as far as where you're going to go plot wise.
All right. What are some details that you need to always include?
Well, I think it's great to try to find an object that's going to or a place that's going to carry meaning. So for this book, that's the tall grass, and the tall grass shows up in both sides of the story and both points of view in the story. In term and then the other thing is shooting for very particular quirky details. So Eve, the character, is sculpts things, and she sculpts tiny little animals, and so
Yeah. Are you still there? Eve sculpts tiny little animals. Let's see. I think there might be something wrong, Ellen. I'm gonna just remove yourself and then come right back in, and it should make it better. Let's see. Hello? No, I don't hear you yet. Let's see. Yeah, just
sorry,
leave.
Robert.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Are
Okay.
you there? Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
this will be interesting. People will be like, "What's going on with this live space?"
I had somebody call me in the midst of this. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. That's
Yeah.
that's that's what makes it fun. I mean, I'm not trying to get perfection. I'm not Joe Rogan. Let's
Yeah.
just have some fun.
Yeah.
What are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh. I just finished an advanced reading copy of The Bear by Julia Phillips,
Mhm.
which will be out in June. And let me tell you, it was incredible. It was mesmerizing. And there is an actual bear in the story that really drives the story, but it's about a couple of sisters who live on an island in Washington State, and they've got some family struggles, and this bear shows up, and it changes everything.
There was that one professor at Queens who said that a bear attacked her, and that's why she was missing an eye. Do you remember her?
No.
It was Natalie Kuzman, I think.
Okay, that's pretty
She,
fascinating.
yeah, but I think it was a story.
Yeah.
Um, what cohort were you? What year did you graduate?
2014.
20, okay, that was 3 years before me. But I
Yeah.
feel like we knew each other. I don't know why.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think that's part of the magic of social media is that we end up feeling like we know folks pretty well.
Maybe because you're a Southerner and I'm a Southerner.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet that's it.
That's interesting. Um, do you do much interaction on X with other writers?
Not a lot. I'm not on this forum a lot. Um yeah, I'll do things to support other writers here, but I don't end up posting often about stuff. And but I love the fact that we've got this big marketplace of ideas, and glad to be a part of it when I can.
Is there a particular reason, like you just are not attracted to X, or you just like other things better?
There's so much social media, and I end up being overwhelmed by it, honestly.
I understand that. I
Yeah.
definitely do.
Yeah.
Because I think I just lurk on Instagram and I send reels to friends, but I don't do anything on Instagram. And
Right.
Facebook, um, I do a lot on that, but when I post, depending on the content of the post, I don't get a lot of interaction. There are lots of things that I want to let the locals of my town know, but it doesn't get through all the time. Um,
Right, right. It's strange. It's like broadcasting, and yet we have no idea who it reaches.
right. So,
Yeah.
well, just today I had, um, okay, in the House of Representatives of the United States, they're doing more work about whether or not the government needs to get a warrant to look at our personal devices. And I saw that tweet and I thought I need to bring this to Facebook because people on Facebook aren't talking about it. And it got just like one person comment, and I just was like, I'm just going to delete it. It's not getting anywhere. I could post it on Twitter and get a lot of hits, but I wanted to get my neighbors involved.
Right,
And
right.
I just can't do that. And I tried to talk to neighbors in person about a few months ago. Everybody was in an uproar about there were like midterm elections, and they were saying that this party won, and it's because of this stance on abortion, back and forth. Meanwhile, the United States government passed through a bill, and it became law that every car manufactured after 2025 is going to have a kill switch in it. So I guess the car company, if they have to repossess it, or if the government presses the car company and says, turn this car off, they can just turn it off remotely. That happened while we were arguing about like a social issue. And I tried to tell people in real life, but it was almost like that didn't even matter because things were so much more pressing on social media. And that's been like my bane. I just want people to care about like things that's going to affect every single one of us. And it's very difficult.
Yeah, yeah. I never know. I never know what of the things I post, what reaches who, or whether it reaches anybody, honestly, which makes it a somewhat imperfect form of communication.
Yeah. X, I think you have to enjoy talking to people you don't know and then forming relationships with people you don't know. And then they become your friends on X. And you don't really see them on other social media. So it's an unusual platform that way. But there used to be a lot more drama with writers. I think it calmed down for some reason, but I've been in spats with people. People that have published me, they decided they didn't like something I tweeted. Um, Jamie Attenberg blocked me on Twitter. Do you know who she is?
Yeah, I've heard of her. Yeah.
She's a little, she has a little bit of a reputation, but she's got a lot of people on Twitter. She does not have a lot of people on Facebook, like her Facebook page likes, which tells me that she probably paid for the people. But she does her like 100 days of summer or something like that, or 10 days of summer, and you write a thousand words of summer. That's what it's called. And for 2 weeks, you write 1,000 words a day. And I was not even tweeting to her. She was using the hashtag. And I think I was like overzealous. And she just blocked my account. And I wrote to her on Facebook and I said, "Hey, you blocked my account, but I really like to get your prompts for the day that you put on Twitter. Would you be willing to unblock me?" And she screenshot my request and apology and tweeted it
Oh
to make
wow.
fun of me. Yeah.
Well,
So
it's yeah. I mean, I guess that's the peril because we don't always know who we're dealing with, and I think it's easy for people to kind of um, get guarded about stuff. And yeah, it's strange. It's a
it
strange
is.
sort of, it's a strange offshoot of what happens with technology, I guess.
But I think on other social medias it's probably safer. Have
Yeah.
Have you ever had a dramatic interaction with another author or a reader?
No, I really haven't.
There is an element of drama in your Facebook posts, though.
That's interesting.
And I mean it in a good way. Um, like when you were posting pictures, which author photo should I use? And people were just giving you bad answers. They were like, any of them, they're all great. And I was like, the way you used unusual language, so I could tell it was really your voice. And so I was
Uh-huh.
like, I'm gonna have some fun with her. I'm gonna see if I can have some fun. And I think I wrote on what I said, this one's psychotic, but in a good way. So I wouldn't go with this one.
I
And
remember that. Oh my gosh.
yeah, and you liked it, and you liked it, and I was like, yes, she gets me. So I
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
so now I've
That
always had fun with it.
yeah, I mean that's it. I mean you got to not take yourself too seriously and just be ready for discussion, be up for it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. I like the way you put it to the crowd. There's still, you haven't gotten a big head yet, and you're still accessible, and so it still feels like, like your good friend is doing something fun. Let's have some fun with this. I don't know what it's going to be like though when you get your Pulitzer. You
Well,
might be a different animal.
yeah, let's just keep putting that kind of stuff out in the universe. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But my main belief is that we're all really kind of doing the same thing. And I want to be there for folks and support them, and I appreciate it when they support me. And I'm going to share, what I know to the best of my ability if I've got time to do that, and foster community. And that's I think the way to do it. So,
All right, Ellen, I'm gonna let these listeners, if they have questions, I'm gonna let them ask you something.
oh sure.
Let's see. I'm gonna send them requests, and they might not accept it, and it's okay if they don't. We'll just give them a couple of seconds, and I'll just talk about something.
Okay.
What's your favorite food?
Oh gosh, a pizza.
Oh, I'm getting pizza tonight
Yeah, lucky
for
you.
Fat Tuesday.
Very
I'm
good.
I'm giving up for Lent, eating ready to eat food
Wow.
at a restaurant, or excuse me, buying ready to eat food. So that means no vending machines, no gas stations, no restaurants.
Very ambitious.
Yeah. Well, it's just become something that's taken over my life, and I spend way too much money, and I'm just not going to do that. I did not say buying drinks. I did
There you
not.
go.
I did not say eating it, because if someone else wants to buy it, I'll eat it.
Right.
But I've got to get some control over it. And if Jesus can go 40 days in the desert not eating any food, I can go 40 days not buying food in a restaurant.
Well, good for you. Best of luck. Best
Thank you.
of luck. It sounds
Uh,
very ambitious.
Thank you. Do you celebrate Lent?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so we don't have any questions, or maybe they couldn't do it. Either way, we're going to respect their silence. And while the guests are silent, I like to do something that the Paul Leslie Hour recommends. The Paul Leslie Hour is a radio show. It started on satellite radio on Jimmy Buffett Radio. Now it's a cool podcast based out of Charleston, South Carolina. And he always turns the show over to his guest at the end of the show so that she can say whatever is on her mind and heart, knowing that the show is could last forever and has the potential to reach thousands. This show probably will reach over 1,000 people because they're going to listen to it or at least see the tweet. So, with that in mind, Ellen, the show is yours.
Wow. All right. Hey, thank you for that opportunity. And I guess I just want to say, uh, we're all in this together, and I hope that people can keep their sense of humor, be open to the thoughts and feelings of other folks, and I hope that everybody is out there pursuing their art, because it's the best kind of outlet for all of our energies, and it's the thing that I think brings us all together.
Thank you so much, Ellen. Is it Burkett or Burkett Morris?
Burkett.
Ellen Burkett Morris. Beware the tall grass. Buy it March 15th, the Ides of March.
Hey, thanks so much. Take care.
You too. Oh, wait, we got Paul. Paul, do you have a question?
Ellen, do you have a typical reader? Some readers write for men, some write for women, some write for kids. Do you have a typical target audience or just everybody?
I don't really think that I'm writing for anybody in particular. I hope that whoever finds it finds the story compelling. But I try to think about the audience as little as I can, and think about the characters as much as I can.
I'm looking forward to reading this.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. Later, everyone.
Bye.